we're gonna get started with our Rainbow Lentil Soup making class. I am Casey, for those who are just meeting me today. Nice to meet you. I hope everyone's having a good day today. I have everything ready to go. I pre-soaked my lentils, which I normally do, and we'll talk about soaking in a bit. And I'll try and get to all the questions too while I'm making it. So I'll try and look at both. Okay, what we will do first. So basically get your pot. So I have mine here. Any size you want. If you want to double the recipe, go ahead. I'm not doubling it this time because we just made this and it'll be a lot of the same soup. So I'm just gonna have a single recipe this one time. Hey Talia. But if you wanna double it, go ahead. And what you'll do first is you wanna take your oils and put them right in the pot and melt it. So I'll just put this back here. Okay. I pre-did that already. It says in the recipe to use olive oil, but I chose to use coconut oil this time, and that's the beauty with oils. You can basically pick different ones you want. Normally with oils, for olive oil, you don't want it on a very high heat. For coconut oil, you can go extremely high. So for this soup, it doesn't matter. We're not gonna have our pan super high. We'll have it on medium heat until it boils. So once you have your oil melted in your pot, you can do the first step, which is to you're gonna stir in the onion and garlic, a couple pinches of salt, and then saute. So I have my onion here, pre-chopped. I'll pour that in, and you'll want to hear a sizzle. So you want to get your oil nice and hot so you hear a sizzle. Always take one and so mine needs to go a little bit higher. Just so you can start listening to that sizzle. When it's sizzling, you know it's ready. When it starts to bubble, you can go ahead and put the rest of them in. So I'm gonna put the rest of the onions into the pan. Hear that? Let that cook for a bit. And then the next will be the garlic. So sometimes I use this, it's really easy for mincing garlic. So I have my garlic already here. It's peeled. And basically I'm just gonna open it up, pour the garlic in. It's kind of like, remember those Play-Doh toys where you put the Play-Doh in and the hair would grow? It kind of looks like that. And then just scrape off the excess. Try and get all of it in. So, give it a mix. And then my friend Kim taught me a long time ago, we do not cook wooden spoons. So, whenever I leave my wooden spoon in my pot like that, I think of Kim. I either put it on top or I put it in a bowl over there. So, hi Carrie, hi Lisa. So basically the onions are cooking and we're just gonna cook them until it gets translucent. The onions I chopped were all different sizes. Okay, just a rough chop. Okay, so we'll just let that go for a little bit. I'm gonna add in a couple pinches of salt. It just helps the onions to release their juices a bit. So I have some salt, I'll just sprinkle that in. Give it a little mix, and so on. Okay. After that, what we want to do is add in our carrots and our celery and cook for a few more minutes. So while this onions are cooking down a bit, I'll show you my carrots. I cut them into different sizes. I chose to use a purple carrot, red, and yellow since it's a Rainbow Lentil Soup. So this one's really neat. It has a yellow inside. These were actually more white when I first cut them, and they're starting to turn a little yellow, so that's interesting. And then we have our orange. So this is, these were 3 very big carrots, so it's a little bit more than usual, but with soups, you have to make it how you like it. So if you want to add more, add more. If you don't, don't. Okay, so we will put those in, and we will also put our celery in. And my celery was a little bit smaller than normal, so there's not that much. Okay, put that to the side, and then we will just give it a stir. And there we go. Oh, and these colors are beautiful. All right, look at that. Beautiful, colorful soup so far. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, put that back, turn the heat a little bit. Okay, and we'll just let that cook for a bit while we talk about the next ingredients. Okay, so after that happens, we are going to stir in the cumin, thyme, and turmeric. So while this is cooking, I'll just show you what I have here. I will show you turmeric. Normally a lot of us get it in powder form, which is really easy to find. I actually have some turmeric that I found in the store. So it looks like this. When it's not in powder form, this is turmeric. Comes in different sizes. It kind of looks like ginger, if you have ever gotten ginger before in its whole form. And I peeled one of them ahead of time to grate inside. And then this is the color we all know, this orangish, reddish color. And turmeric is really good for us. It's anti-inflammatory, and a lot of problems in health start with inflammation. So it's great to put turmeric in dishes whenever you can. So we're gonna put in our cumin, thyme, and turmeric. Okay, so here's cumin. I have the ground up cumin here. So we'll just pour that in. Okay. Next we have thyme. So I saved some thyme. I'll show you it. I'll take out a couple sprigs here. I saved this from my garden and I dried it out. So all you need to do is take the leaves off of the stick and sprinkle it in, and I'm just gonna eyeball it. So if you already have pre-measured thyme, go ahead and place that into your pot. If you want to take it off, it smells so good. I'm gonna grate my turmeric into my pot. This is gonna stain my fingers. So if you don't want to stain your fingers, just use a paper towel to hold it or a glove. It won't stain too bad. I don't really mind. I'm not going anywhere. So. Okay. So you just grate it right in there. And the rule is, so if I was using the dried turmeric, I would use 1 teaspoon. And when you're using fresh, you want to triple it. So I'm going to put a tablespoon in. So it has all of the ingredients in it. I'm going to give it a stir. The thing with turmeric is, though, it will not activate unless you add black pepper into it. So there's no point to add the turmeric if you're not adding the pepper in it. You're not going to get all those benefits. So I have my pepper here. It's already ground up. And I'm just going to add a sprinkle in. In case you don't like pepper and you leave it out of the recipe at the end, I always add it in now with my turmeric, so you don't forget not to add it in. So even if you don't normally put pepper in, put it in for this recipe for the health benefits. The next thing we're going to do now, after it's been cooking for a while, is we're going to add in our diced tomatoes with the juices, the lentils, the broth, and the water. So my can was larger than what the instructions said, so I just took half the can. I'm going to use it now, and I'll use the other half next time for my next soup. I normally double it, so I will normally use the entire can, but this is fine just to save it for next time. A lot of cans are the right size. I just happen to have large cans on stock. So here is the tomatoes and their juices right here. Add that in. I'm gonna add all my yummy lentils in. That's what it's starting to look like now. And now I will add my broth. So I made some homemade stock. So it was just in my fridge. I measured out the 4 cups, and I'm going to pour my homemade stock into my soup pot. So I have some pepper. I'm just gonna eyeball it, add some on top. I did measure out the salt. I'm using, again, the pink Himalayan sea salt, which is thick. It's not thick, it's chunky. It's not ground up. So if you don't use fine salt, you need to put in a little bit more salt because the measurement won't be exactly the same. There's all this air between these large pieces of salt that aren't finely ground, so you can just add a little bit more. But also when you're adding salt and pepper, you want to do it to taste. Not right now because the flavors aren't developed yet, but near the end you want to start tasting and then you can adjust the flavor. So I'm going to add the salt in. Give it a little mix. There you go. Look at that. All that goodness is going to go into us. Oh, the tomato paste. I'm going to add in the tomato paste. So I'll use this here. What I did with my tomato paste, it comes in a large can, and usually the recipe only asks for a teaspoon or a tablespoon. So what I do is I put all these teaspoons or tablespoons on a pan like this. I put them in the freezer, and once they're frozen, they're kind of like an ice cube consistency. You can put them in a Ziploc bag or in a glass container and freeze them in your freezer, and that way you have the exact amount you need for each soup or stew or pasta or whatever you're making in the future. And I'll just add that right in. Okay. All right. Okay. So, while we are doing that, we are going to make the cashew cream. So this soup, it's very nice as it is. You don't need to add any cream to it, but if you like more of a cream-based soup, I will make a cashew cream right now. And basically that's keeping this soup 100% vegetarian. So what you'll do is, if you don't really care about that, you can just add sour cream, or you can add actual cream to your soup to make it more of that consistency. But the cashews is really nice. It tastes really good. Sometimes the cashew cream will, if you don't mix it enough, it will be a little bit grainy, but it doesn't taste grainy, it just looks grainy, so it's fine. So what I will do is I will get the cashews are here. They're already soaked for 2 hours, and the reason we soak it is so that they're nice and soft, so that they actually blend. If you don't soak them, it's more of a chalky mixture, but we want a smooth mixture for our soup. So we have that and some water and our blender. There we go. And add some water in. And you can add in garlic if you want. You can use broth if you want. I'm not gonna use garlic or broth. I think that the soup's really flavorful. It doesn't really need it anyhow. So I'm just choosing not to. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Okay, if you don't have a high-powered blender, you can easily just do this in your food processor. Just leave it on for a longer time so it's nice and smooth. Okay, so basically what will happen is the soup will now cook. Basically you want everything to be tender. You want your lentils to be tender. So about 20-30 minutes or so. At that point is when you will want to add in the cashew cream. So I'm just gonna keep this here, keep it on reserve, and and then we'll pour it in at the very end. This is great if you want to have a total non-dairy meal, if you have people with allergies when they can finally come back to your house for dinner or lunch, and so on. So if you're gonna store this in your freezer and you're using glass, I usually use glass for almost everything, you want to only fill it up, you want to leave some space, about 1 inch or 2 inches at the top, because if you don't leave a space, when it freezes, it expands and it'll shatter the glass, and then you'll have glass all over your freezer. And I wanted to talk to you about why on earth we would add lemon or vinegar to soup. That sounds weird. So basically, when you're making food, if you add an acid to it, it brightens the flavor. So it really brings out the flavors. It's kind of similar to salt in a different way. If you add even a pinch of salt, it really bursts out all the smaller flavors that you may not really taste otherwise. That's the same idea with acid. So you can use lemon or vinegar. I have extra lemon juice because we have lemon water in the morning. So I saved this. I almost got drunk this morning, but I saved it for the soup. So you can just pour the lemon juice into the soup just to give it that extra specialness, that extra burst. Give it a little mix. Okay. And then what you'll want to do, this is going to cook for a while, so I'm not going to stay the entire time with you, but what you'll want to do is you'll want to get your spinach, you know, after it's cooked, you'll put the spinach on top. If you know about spinach, it wilts down a lot, so you can put a lot of it in, and then just give it a stir for 2 or 3 minutes and it'll wilt right in. You can also use Swiss chard if you want. You can use rainbow chard if you want to stick with this theme of the rainbow soup. So I'll add some parsley for the green color on top, and then some chives as well. And that gives it that nice green finishing at the end, and it gives us a little bit of green. So after you plate your soup, you can always add the parsley and the chives on top as well. So, okay, so what we'll do is, yeah, that's great. I think that we'll have the soup keep cooking. At the very end, you'll put your creme in, your cashew creme. If you're not doing that, you can put your sour cream on top with your chives and your parsley. And you'll also put your spinach in. So I'll give you one little more look at the soup. It's hard to see. I'm gonna take this camera here. Okay, there you go. Let's see. And there's all this goodness in there. All right, thanks so much for joining this cooking class, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, have a great day, enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.